Haul the spaceships to Davenport. Prepare for divanarchy and interface with a couch in space. We are back. That makes me so happy. Just like radiation blowing out my eyes with the fusion reactor in my heart, and also the fusion reactor powering this here couch. It's Space Couch flying through space, talking to stars of industrial music. But we'll get there in a second. Dan Gunther in the chat room. What's up, buddy? So I'll tell you. I'll tell you what's up. It is sponsorship. Sponsorship is very important to us here at Space Couch. It keeps the fuel in our couch nacelles, if that's where fuel goes. I don't know. I probably should have read the manual before blasting off into space. But one thing I already know all about is Tiger Squawk Records. You want to check out the new Same Story. Lamentations is out now. It's brutally good. Melting Rust Opera out of Germany, the most crazy industrial you will ever hear. Brain Games, Gossicles versus Big Time Kill. The Nightsicles, Gossicles versus Nightstop out of Finland out now. Doodad from Duckbag TM, really great stuff. Amalgamated Cadavers live at Virtual Temple 5. New science fiction emerging Eldritch, very cool. You also want to check out Landscape Body Machines single No Cable, back after all these years. The new single All About the Gothic Species from my shit. Dr. Lovecraft's Dating Sim out now. And of course, Distortion versus Tiger Squawk. All proceeds benefit Ukrainian cause. The new one from Isserly. Oh, I was just listening to this. This is so dope. Check out all that stuff on Tiger Squawk Records. Ladies and James, you want to check that all out eventually, but for right now, we're just gonna get right into it because I'm so happy to talk. Nectarius one says, "Sweet, call you live instead of watching the vid later." Thank you, Nectarius one. So let's get right down to it, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Matt Hart. What is up, buddy?
What's up, Brian? How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good to be here in space with you.
Well, you know, you spend so much time below the Terra. Thought we'd take you thousands of leagues above it. Why did I do it in leagues? I don't know. Because we just get wild here. Speaking of wild, you sort of have, for all my engine talk earlier, nobody has a motor quite like Matt Hart. Just going full bore. Not sure where to start, but we'll do that little date modified details menu organize. You just came out with a video. So let's watch a little bit of a clip of the last rave, and then we'll break it on down. All right, that was the last rave. Tell us about this video.
Well. So the video was mostly shot at Resistance Festival, where Brian and I actually got to hang out and kind of meet each other in real life for the first time, which was pretty cool. So the last rave, the track is actually the last track off my new album, Below the Terra Part 1. And I wanted it to kind of come out on the album, so it wasn't going to be a pre-single. I wanted to get some live footage of this track, and it was just so happened we had Resistance Festival and another festival in London, Electrovox Music Festival, and I kind of just put the footage together. You know, like there was little bits and pieces from Electrovox. A lot of the main footage is from Resistance, and then I also filmed some kind of studio footage as well. You can see it kind of layer up when you watch the video. You see it layer up, and you see there's me standing with the camera looking down at me rather than on stage where the camera's generally looking up at me. So you kind of get that change in angle of where you're watching me from, which I kind of liked, and I just layered up. Had some kind of you could kind of see through each one of them, so they kind of blended into each other, and it was a lot of fun to put together, and I really like the track.
It's a good track,
and obviously you were there, Brian, watching it, and you know that I kind of it's up to 140 BPM, I think, and it's a heavy rave track, and I think the video really encompasses what kind of energy I had going at the
Very
time.
cool.
So that's kind of what it was like, that putting the video together. It was a lot
awesome.
of fun. So.
Well, Slither3808 says, "Isn't there a Brian cameo in that video?" You are correct, Slither3808. You can't see my countenance among the adoring fans in there because I was not going to miss that set. So it sounds like you were. What sort of decisions go into? I have a question down here about videocraft. Just because we have this pretty dope live recording, but I want to make a video out of this. Like, what decisions or thought process, or was it just purely instinctive of like making this video its own entity, sort of out of this other recording? Like,
I mean, it was both the Electrovox and the Resistance videos were just one take live. You know, they're obviously it's a live show, so it's one camera filming me, and that's all we had. So I thought I like I said, I mentioned about the studio. I'd get that and be able to layer that up so you can see the two kind of layers, different angled from each other. But as far as like the live video and putting it together, I guess when you're looking through it, you see where the bits that you really like about a live video is like suddenly you're facing the camera, or you know, screaming at the audience, or you know, I wanted to give something back and have that audience view in there as well, which I actually took from a different video recording of a different track, but it was still the pan across was there. And I think there was another one when one of the guys shouts, you know, this is the last rave, and you know, getting some crowd shots in there was important to me, as a kind of, you know, thank you to everyone that came along and like find yourself in the video. If you find yourself, like, comment, share, and all that kind of stuff. So everything adds up.
Very cool, man.
Yeah. So
go on.
Yeah, and I like towards the end of the track, or the video, I'm just jumping up and down. I spend a lot of my time jumping up and down the stage. To be fair, I'm just overly excited.
You got sick quads.
So if I can get that across in a video, that kind of it's almost advertising for me as a live artist. You know, this is what I look like.
Diabolical. Oh, you froze up a bit. You might come back in a second. Do I still have you? Oh no. Okay. We'll see if sometimes it reconnects automatically. So we'll just chill out for a second. We're gonna give it a minute here. Sometimes it reconnects. We'll just vamp. How you guys doing in space? What's up to science fiction? Said hi. And or am I? This is getting so existential. Am I the one who's not being going out? I don't think that's right. Oh, is the whole thing frozen, or is it just me? Well, we'll figure that out. Do live interpretations. Oh, okay, yeah. It looks like Nectarius1 recently introduced someone to the Dune series. That's cool. Let's do. We'll just solve problems in real time. That's cool. Do do can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now. Can
All
you hear
right.
me?
I can hear your wonderful voice, and oh, we're
And
back solving
and you can see
problems.
me.
Yeah, we must have got too close to a black hole or something. Like space was really a questionable decision as a basis from
Hmm.
which to host a talk show, and so that one is kind of on me. There's really no reason I should be doing this.
Well, I mean, as we talked about earlier, I am transmitting back from the year 3808,
Oh, wow, okay.
from the belly of Terra. So these things happen. So two worlds collide, and
Yeah,
transmission problems happen, right?
basically it's costing billions of dollars or pounds a second to just talk through space and time frame probably like this. So I'm happy we're able to get any sort of thing out. I want to We hung out a lot at Resistance Festival. I would be really interested to hear your thoughts and get your what was your experience like of that event.
Um, it was pretty awesome, to be honest.
Mm.
I'd been to the festival two or three times, I
Hmm.
think, before the last one. And I love the festival. It was such a laugh. Such good
Yeah.
bands. Leighton really pulled together such a wonderful lineup every time. And I looked at the lineup and got in contact with Leighton in 2019, I think it was. And he picked me up to DJ for it originally, the 2020
Hmm.
version. And then I saw the lineup for the 2020, and I was like, "Wow, this is gonna be the first festival back that we go to.
Yeah,
It's gonna be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. And going as a DJ, being able to spin some tunes, and that was kind of pretty exciting as well.
totally.
And then when Leighton sent me a message saying, "Do you want to play live?" Um, it kind of blew my mind. I was like, Resistance wants me to play live? Wow, that's pretty epic. That's pretty cool. Yes.
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
I obviously we booked our hotel and I was going to be there DJing anyway. And so I pulled my band together, albeit my backing track and my guitarist. Um, and we hit the road and went up to Resistance. And um, I think the highlight for me was obviously the Gothsicles. But
Hmm.
having not seen you for probably 5 6 years, I
It's
think it
been a
was
minute.
Resistance was the last time, I
Yeah.
think. But band I was really looking forward to seeing was Horsk. They're
Oh
only
yeah.
across the channel in France, and I missed them when they were last in the UK 3 4 5 years ago. And I've been DJing them literally, and I say it to everyone on my DJ stream, and I, every DJ set that I do tends to have Horsk in it.
It's
Anything from the last three albums that they put out, and it just one of those bands I really really wanted to see.
Yeah, they
Um,
killed. They killed. Uh,
yeah.
but not to diminish the live show of Math Height because you guys were on fire. Who's your guitarist?
So my guitarist, I met back in. So actually, I only started releasing music in 2017, with a
Wow.
plan to do it live, ideally. So I'd kind of started asking around, looking around for a guitarist, someone that kind of met me eye to eye on a level musically
Hmm.
and socially and all that kind of thing. And I was out for dinner with some friends basically,
Hmm.
and they'd invite some other friends along, and we got chatting. We kind of knew each other from like quite a few years earlier, previous, but we'd never really kind of hung out or
Hmm.
chatted as such. And we were just sat around this table, and my friend went, well, this guy, this Jerome, he plays guitar, and we just started chatting, and like the bands we were into that were the same kind of
Hmm.
bands and the same kind of music, and he totally got my want of a guitarist,
Hmm.
rather than someone who can kind of be a part of the band as a creative writer. I just wanted him to play what I wrote,
Right.
and I know that it was just great that he was quite happy to do that. He'd had his own band going as well, and he now plays in another band on bass as well. But just to come along, play my guitar riffs kind of as I wrote them. It was great. So we came together and we've been playing together since 20. I think the first show we did was 2018,
Hell yeah.
early 2018. So
That's awesome.
um, yeah, so yeah, it's really good.
Sandra on Facebook says Jerome is wicked on guitar. Agreed, Sandra. um, so, uh, I wanted to get like a little cosmic, pardon the pun, just because like I've been doing a lot of live shows, and I I was wondering if I could get your thoughts on sort of just the vast sort of difference or range, if you will, between creating electronic music and playing it live.
Mm,
Because my experience is it's they almost have nothing to do with each other. Like I do this electronic music at 5 in the morning in my pajamas, and then on the other side of that, it's I have to do it wildly publicly with just energy, 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 energy. So how do you reconcile those two things, if that is indeed your experience?
yeah, I mean, like you said, 5 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
you're just eyes on a screen. You're being so finicky with the sounds and the synths and the mixing and the creativity. And I've um, been quite, I'd say lucky, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a laptop that I travel with, and
Okay.
I travel with work, or how short distance, long distance, whatever it is. So to have that with me, stick my headphones in, and be able to kind of write music on the go. That I might be on
Hell yeah.
on a coach seat or a train, and I've got a table, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like literally heads in, eyes in, ignoring people around me, just
Mm-hmm.
like doing what I do, and layering up and layering up. And I think as far as the writing and the creative goes, I've always tried to think or have at least in the back of my mind tracks that I want to do live.
Mm. Okay.
I've released now, forgetting my first album, which was just a push of old music. I've released three 5-track EPs, and I've now released two full albums and a remix album. Um, so to pool all that together as music that I would do live is just it's impossible, and
Mm-hmm.
it's never been part of my process. So each of those EPs had maybe one or two tracks that I was always kind of going, okay, how am I going to make this sound
Okay.
live? Is it where do the guitars cut? Because generally I write for live
Okay.
music with
Oh wow.
guitars,
Okay.
but I like to write a lot of music without guitars. I like the more kind of techno
Mm-hmm.
industrial side of things. The kind of more EBM stuff. Um, Point of fact that one of the tracks we do, "Gone to Shit," is a electronic track that we've actually added guitars
Mm-hmm.
to. Um, and reversely, "Last Rave" was actually written more as an electronic track, as a kind of a rave track, but the guitars that I put in it are quite minimal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they cover a good bit of layer in there. Um, so the process is, I'm writing. I write whatever I want, whatever I hear. I DJ a lot, right? So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
and you're hearing all that different kinds of music, that is coming out at you. What you're DJing, what people are liking, and that kind of thing. And I get influenced by it. You
Totally.
can't not,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Hell yeah.
listening to it, DJing it, and yeah, and I can't help but want to put some certain kind of sounds into the
Okay.
music that I write.
So
And
it's
when I started,
I
go
was
on.
just gonna say it's not a divorced thing for you, meaning like okay, I put out all this electronic music onto a screen, pause, then figure out how to do it live. You're sort of like as I'm laying down this track in Cubase or wherever your drug of choice is, that'll
Yeah,
probably end up being what Jerome's gonna play. Maybe you sort of have it baked in. It sounds
yeah,
like don't let me put words
uh,
in your mouth.
yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, I use Logic, but it certainly is that kind of
Hmm.
process. But then there's tracks that I went, okay, this is never going to go live. I might DJ it because it's like
Yeah.
an electronic club track, but I'm not going to play it live.
Hmm.
But I can put whatever I want into it, and it might not necessarily sound like the heavier stuff or the guitar stuff, but I don't care. I write music for me and hope people like it. And you hear it from, um, well, I think all the records really. I mean, I think, um, certainly Terra 3808 was more industrial metal influence. There was a lot more guitars on it. I tuned down to kind of 8-string depth guitars, and but the latest album, the guitars are more minimal on it. It certainly is a product of COVID
Okay.
era, I suppose,
Well,
because I spent a lot more time. I wasn't doing any live shows. I spent a lot more time on my laptop without my guitars around me, and it kind of came out of that. So a lot of the guitars are actually kind of bolted on at the end, in the end process of it. But you hear the sounds of that record, and although it comes together as one kind of clear, kind of clear mixed sound, each track is very different in style, I think.
I
So
would agree. Want to do quick shout outs to the chat room. What's up to Angelica's Demort? What's going on? Sandra says hi to, and science fiction is the best reason to make music. Make music for yourself, and hey, maybe others will like it, says Anthony Michael Rice. Yes, so we are talking, of course, Below the Terra, out now, available at matthart.bandcamp.com.
you got it.
Nice. Tell us if people should be going other places, if you like, or is Bandcamp your preferred modality?
I always say, get your music where you want to get your music.
Okay.
You know, if you stream on Spotify, go and listen to it. You know, stick it on loop and play it and listen to it. If you download from iTunes, do that.
Spotify. He's Matt Hart everywhere. You want to check out Below the Terra? I got it. You're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So check it out on all those platforms. So now that it's still very new, but it's been out for a minute. Have you had time to reflect on that music, or is it still sort of too fresh for you to be like apart from it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think because I've had these little couple of live shows, and we've been putting the obviously the video together, I kind of haven't really looked back at it as such. I mean, The Last Rave is the last track on it, but I haven't listened through the album again in flow since it came out, really. You know, I'm sure you know, like, the process of once you've got it all together, you listen to it all back to back and go, does this work? Does it sound okay?
Yeah,
I think it does, you know. And I mean, really, each one of those songs has been on the go for 2 years, and some of them a little bit longer,
right,
you know.
Totally.
So, yeah. So it's been good over the COVID era to be able to kind of put out singles, and then kind of put them, well, certainly Terrifying, put that on this album, which was always a plan to put it on the album. I had to have it remixed, but so it kind of sounded like the other stuff. But have I looked back at it? I keep seeing it because when I'm getting new music and that kind of thing, if I've got some new tracks or whatever, and you know, I scroll down through Matt Hart, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's the record, you know. But all the whole album is on my DJ controller, so it's, yeah. I mean, I haven't listened to it. I haven't to reflect on it. I think it was good.
Cool.
I mean, I really liked it. I'm really happy with it.
Now that's awesome. I haven't been able to. The last full album I did was 2 years ago, and like I don't sit down and just like absorb it. So that's how I do it. But yeah, it's quite good. Let's actually listen to a little bit of Terrifying. We're gonna crash into the sun. That's what I get for changing up my hotkeys, trying to make it more efficient. I jumped into the wrong clips for a second. So we'll probably crash into Jupiter or something by the end of the episode. But until we get there, Slither 38, it says, do you think your impression of the album will change when you get a chance to listen back to it again since its release?
I think it probably will.
Mm.
Um, I think having a look and going, oh, what I could have done better or what I could have changed, that kind of thing. Because I, I'm very much on I need to do so much to a track to finish it, but then there's a point where you've just got to go, okay, I'm done with it and leave it.
I hear you.
Um,
Yeah, I totally hear you. Let's uh, micromanaging that to
yeah.
infinity. Well, speaking of poring over small details, tell us about your experience remixing Hottery. We are both on that Hottery remix disc, of course.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I want to know how you found that whole journey.
Ah, that was a long while ago. It's probably what is it, year
You
and a
give,
half ago, 2 years
at
ago,
the
maybe.
speed we move, it might
Um,
have been in the Cretaceous period or 6 seconds ago.
true, true. And I'm still here in 3808, so
Well,
it was
yes.
just last week. So.
Like right. I mean, as a resident time traveler, I'm sure that our time scale is quite linear to you. But
Yeah.
whenever that did occur in time, how'd you find it?
I'd been working on a few smaller artists' remixes, but it was really the first kind of remix that I released or sent back
Mm-hmm.
that was going to be bigger than any of the other ones that had ever gone before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and really, I was sent a track that I didn't know. I still don't understand what the Icelandic language is to the song or what even it means, but I tried to kind of from the sound of the track, um, I always like to make remixes, tracks that you would dance on a dance floor to
Mm-hmm.
when the original may not have been.
Yeah, totally,
Um,
totally. That's what I did
so
too.
yeah, so that's totally my process. Wanted it to kind of evolve as well. I thought that the original track kind of evolved, so I kind of
Mm.
like had this idea of evolution in the track. So the beginning kind of starts heavier, and then it has a big kind of big bridge middle section, and then it kind of drops into a more I don't know techno EBM kind of sound towards the end of the track with the vocals over. So it was I think that's my process with any remix really
Mm.
is just to try and make something that may not have been dance floor worthy into something that's dance floor worthy, or at least I hope so.
Right, right. Cool, man.
And certainly something for me is if I can change the tempo of something I will. Um, Possibly to make it faster, but sometimes if it needs to be a slower groove, then go slower.
Mm-hmm.
It's just give it something different, giving a different flavor. If it's very ethereal, then make it stomp. I did a remix for Witch of the Vale as
Hell
well. Do
yeah,
you know Witch of the
totally.
Vale?
Yeah.
Cool. So they're like ethereal ethereal,
Uh huh.
industrial, with beautiful like female witchy vocals over the top. And I took a track and made it into a club track, which has subsequently been done again by a few other artists. Sardonic and Grendel have
Oh,
certainly
dope.
remix their stuff in a more dance floor flavored way. But yeah, that's kind of like what I like to
Cool,
do.
man.
So
Well,
yeah.
you had us, and I'm realizing now a major oversight on my part was to not let you know I wanted to ask about your Twitch channel, but we should really do that because it's great. You had myself and a couple other of the artists, remix artists that appear on that disc on your Twitch channel, but you twitched like a champion, man. Tell us about how we can catch you on the internet in that capacity,
Yeah, well, I just had my 2 year anniversary in the
dude.
middle of May.
Hell yeah!
I know, it's crazy. We we I say we because I have my beautiful wife Slither 3808 who's in the
Shut
chat
up.
there. She's really helped me with it, which has been amazing on the kind of the moderators side. We have 4 moderators over there. But I started it just as because there's nothing else to do when you go into lockdown and that kind of thing. And I actually did a YouTube stream for my DJ set at Resistance 2020. Um, so that was my
Which was
first kind of dabbling my toes into live streaming. And then I noticed a couple of other people, and I chatted to some other friends of mine, and they'd started DJing on Twitch, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And it really is a wonderful platform for people, for DJs really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as much as it's a gaming stream um, platform, and people watch people game, but for DJs it's
It's
perfect. Like,
awesome.
get your streams out, but you're there on video, and put the track ID out, show the people the music that you're playing. If you've got videos, play the videos. If move around on screen and just have a lot of
Hex,
fun,
yes.
and that's what my Monday night Outlaw Vision, Monday nights at 9 p.m. UK time, every Monday without fail, is that's what it's all about. It's about energy. It's about playing the music that I love, playing some of my own music, which is a bonus.
Hell yeah.
Being able to kind of to promote that out there. But over the 2 years, we've built such a real kind of warm community, that they show up on a Monday night, and they have fun in the chats, and um, they request tracks, and
Awesome.
they just they get me to put green tape on my head and wear sunglasses because all the green screen effects and
Awesome.
stuff.
Well,
So it's a lot of fun, and at the end of the day, it's about the music really. And I think for artists during the pandemic, being able to support them and
totally.
and get the music out there that wasn't being able to get out there because we were not able to go to live shows and people weren't getting noticed and that kind of thing. So um yeah, that's my show. But I'm actually so after 2 years of being in a job that I was kind of moving around, I moved around 4 times in the job. Um, After being in a pandemic
Mhm.
and isolated and all that kind of thing, I'm actually back home now. And I have my streaming gear is set up. So I was for the last part of a year. I've only streamed on Mondays. Prior to that, I was doing some kind of pop-ups and that kind of thing. But it's my plan to kind of do a few more shows, maybe a couple more shows a month or something like that. Just fun, see if anyone's
Awesome.
around and wants to listen to some music and hang out. So
Well,
that's kind of the plan moving forward.
uh, the props to Nectarius1 on YouTube for keeping professional, who asks, "What's the Twitch link? Where should people go?"
It's Matt Hart 3808, MATTHART 3808,
Monday nights,
3808.
9 p.m.
Monday night.
UK time. Subtract 7 hours
Yeah,
if you're on the East Coast. That's where I live when I'm on Earth in Boston and not out in space, but we haven't quite figured out the lore of that. Um,
5 hours. 5 hours.
yeah, five, because I'm very good at math, which is probably why we have so many problems here calculating in space. But don't listen to me. You want to listen to Matt Hart, 3808, Monday nights UK time, 9 p.m. Um, so speaking of kind of video game world, it is now Space Couch tradition that we design the guest video game or new option tabletop RPG. I was thinking in like video game world, like the extra life icon like has to be a mustache. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
dope. Um,
Ching, ching, ching.
totally. Yeah, maybe like alternate player is Jerome or Sandra, something like that. Uh,
Yeah, definitely.
cool. Um, yeah. So, like, would it be like an underground thing? Like you're.
I think it would have to be both. So,
Mhm.
excuse me. Uh, the the premise of the music, and if I was creating a video game,
Mhm.
it would be in the world of 3808, which on the surface of the world is uninhabitable,
Mhm.
apart from it's inhabited by the overlord machines. But it's an icy wasteland. So cityscapes that are
Mhm.
completely frozen, and that's the kind of surface. The humanity doesn't go above the surface
Okay.
very often. However, in necessity, it does. However, I guess the game would be far more of a dungeon crawler, tunnel game.
Uh huh.
You've got to go down. Getting away from machines that are kind of penetrating down into the tunnels. This kind
Well,
of
that's
thing. Maybe digging down. Strategy game where you've got kind of dig down,
ooh.
and build build
Matt Hart, the
build
real time
transition
strategy
rooms, and
game.
and
Hell yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
That's a first. I think first we normally go beat 'em up or side scroller here on Space Couch, but yeah, resource management. Hell yeah, you gotta.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you fucking go full throttle, so it could be like this energy thing. Like, okay, we can play whatever Stokes on Trent tonight, but then I'll be super depleted for like a radio appearance tomorrow morning, something like that. Um, the although we kind of just stumbled into something I'm curious about. You had this amazing sort of Matt Hart as a band, if that's the right word to use, has this
hmm
narrative 3808 element. Like, is that, are you like a character when you're doing music that comes from the future, or where does the 3808 come in?
So so true story. I'd created three EPs: the Chaos Rising trilogy, Chaos Rising 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do a whole album. I don't know what this album's going to be called. Who knows? But I'm going to do an album.
Mm-hmm.
It was in and around that time, I think, or just prior to that, that I'd set up my Instagram account, Matt Hart 3808. And the 3808 actually came as a default number after my
Is
name,
that
Matt
where it's
Hart,
from?
because
Okay.
that's exactly where it's from. It is literally a default number that came
Oh,
out of
that's
that. But I
awesome.
thought, like, I love sci-fi. I love that kind of future idea because
Yeah.
you can create as many stories as you want. That it's not true. It's not fact. It's not
Mm-hmm.
fiction. It's it's just it is fiction. You're creating something that is so far in the future that anything goes
Mm-hmm.
really. Um, so that's where 3808 came from. And then um, I wanted to create the first full album was called Terra 3808. So Terra being Earth, so it's Earth in the year 3808.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of far distant future. Um, and then uh, it was I mean I released that was November 2019. I guess at that point then I'd already had some other music in the
Okay.
pipeline. I started writing some other stuff. Um, and then we went. I mentioned it three times now, and we went into a pandemic. So it was like there was going to be no live
Mm-hmm.
music, and we went onto Twitch. So we've just mentioned the Twitch, MattHart3808. That is my handle on Twitch as well. Um, but the idea of the Twitch show is that I am a character in
Okay.
3808. Matt Hart is he's part of the outlaw crew. He is a
Ooh.
resistance a resistance leader,
Oh,
I
okay,
suppose.
cool.
Yeah, and but part of my full-time job
Mm-hmm.
is um, is transmitting back or transmitting out to our our bunkers and that kind of thing as part of kind of morale. So it's keeping the resistance, the outlaw crew,
Uh-huh.
the army, keeping them kind of morale up and playing them some awesome tunes that have originated back in the 21st century. Um, retro music as it is in 3808. But the idea is that I do that every day, sometimes maybe twice a day. But I send that transmission back to 2020, 2021,
Wow.
2022 now, every week. So I've been doing these shows. I'm transmitting to you now from
Uh-huh.
3808, and I'm doing these shows. We're not even halfway through 3808, and yet I've done 2 years worth of shows in 2020 to 2022. So that's kind of the idea of 3808. So I just wanted it to be a future, and between the idea of Terra 3808, it was the Chaos Rising was a big war. Um,
Wow. So
nothing to do with the Warhammer 40,000 world,
but
which
there's
many people have actually asked me, God, it's something to do with that.
uh-huh.
No, it's got nothing to
Okay.
do with
Whole other thing.
it. Yeah, whole other thing. And um, the idea of the Chaos Rising records was that was the war preceding 3808, and then beginning of or the end of the beginning of the 39th century, the machines just kind of blew up the world. It kind of basically destroyed um, the atmosphere. The atmosphere closed in, became a complete icy wasteland, and that's the story of where
That's
3808
awesome.
has come from, and the LORE from behind it. So
Yeah, I was asking. We had a guest on last week. I asked about video games, and he said, "Funny, bring that up. I actually have had a video game made after me." I asked you about tabletop role playing games, and here you already have the premise. That's some world building right there. That's awesome. Well, we'll
Yeah.
now not only am I looking forward to the next Matt Hart album for the great music, I just want to see what happens to the guy. It's like comic books. Like I want to see where the story goes. So you're not only are you sort of honing morale and shaping attitudes for the future army, you're formatting hearts. Uh,
Mhm.
formatting heart.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
the Speaking of getting cosmic, I've been sort of on this woo woo bend. So don't let me put words in your mouth. But I was wondering if you could sort of capture uh, what does electronic music or music, if you want to make it bigger, mean for you, and what does making electronic music do for you?
Um, I mean, I listen to music. I listen to a hell of a lot of types of music, and I obviously DJ it. And I love listening to the people's creativeness
Hmm.
and kind of what they come up
Oh
with,
wow, yeah.
and the sounds that are created, and the noises and the samples, and like it's a magical world, like listening to what people
Hmm.
have in their brains that they can put down on paper or digital paper.
Right.
Um, and the second part of the question
What
was,
is so
so
that's the sort of the front
that's
load,
the first
and then
part.
for you
Yeah.
specifically, what does the creation of music do / mean for you?
I what does it do for me? I enjoy it.
Hmm.
There's nothing better than to be able to create art.
Hmm.
And I think in my way, my art is music.
Hmm.
Doing something that I enjoy, getting something out there that's trying to tell a story. Um,
Well,
and I
yeah.
think that's why I've kind of gone for the concept idea of the year
Hmm.
3808. But getting music out there that hopefully people like
Hmm.
and people dig, getting it onto playlists, getting it played. Um, there's nothing. I'm sure you've probably been there. There's nothing better the feeling than walking into a club and someone plays your song while you're in the
It's
club. Like,
like
it hasn't happened that often, to be fair. It happened more on streams over the last 2 years, definitely. But actually walking into a club and hearing your own music is that feeling of kind of, this sounds really good, or maybe it doesn't sound really good, but yeah, this should sound really good.
oh wow,
And
that is
just
sorry. If I could be a little bit selfish, I want to because it's not something I've really thought about, but you captured crystallized that moment so well, to me at least, of allowing the acceptance of that I did do something well, like because
yeah,
like the way I was, you're not the way I was brought up is you're not allowed to feel fucking good about yourself ever. Um,
right,
so so the way I experienced the phenomenon you just said is it takes me about a minute to 2 minutes to figure out that no one's just playing a joke on me. Like,
yeah,
like the club is actually playing terrifying, and
yeah,
then you allow yourself to go. This is actually worthy. Like, It's okay that I can be in this space and hear it here. Um,
yeah.
that's really cool. I hadn't thought about that, but so for me, it allows that acceptance of myself.
Hmm.
Maybe on more than just an artistic level, but you tell me. Curious as to your thoughts on that sort of thing.
On
Just
what?
just
Sorry, on how?
accepting yourself, or like that the idea
Yeah,
of I did something good here and that's okay.
yeah. I think that is the kind of, it's post validation.
Hmm.
If someone said, "Oh, this is great," or you sent it to someone, and you hear it in a club, or you see it on a
Hmm.
stream, or hear it on a stream, um, and it's that kind of, that validation that actually, I have written something good. And then you try and step away from it being your own music and going, how does that fit alongside something that someone else similar to me is
Hmm.
doing? And going, is the hook good? Is it stompy? Are people liking it? What is it about it that people really like? Well, terrifying. It's my 8-year-old niece screaming. It's terrifying, and it you know, that hook
Oh, that's
that
your old
hit.
niece. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She just, little long story, but she would run around everywhere just saying, "It's terrifying, it's terrifying." We were out at like a play park,
Sure.
and we're on a roundabout or the swings or something, and she was just screaming, "It's terrifying!" So I was like, "Okay, stop swinging. Look, just scream what you were screaming
That's
into my phone
amazing.
on record." And she was like, "No." But you've just been screaming it so loud. Come on,
Oh,
do
that's
it.
funny.
And then she was like, uh, I don't know how it did. It was like there was so much peer pressure for her to do it. She just like did it over the top.
Oh,
But that
wow.
over the top moment is the moment you hear in that track because it was just, it's
Oh, that's
terrifying.
so good.
It's just OTT, but it was just such a like perfect perfect moment and I thought, it's got to go in a track.
Oh,
It's got to go in a track.
yeah.
So
That is a very astute sample brain you have there. I'm so happy you had your phone at the ready because it's just
yeah,
such a
yeah.
cool part of the song. Um, what is, if any, your music making ritual these days? You said you're at home, where you're previously cracking
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I mean, music making for me really just starts with generally starts with a beat
Hmm.
or a tempo that I want to go at. If I want to write a club banger, it's somewhere between 128 and 140.
Hmm.
If I want to write something that's very kind of industrial stompy, then I'm like, what, 85 to 95, something like
Yeah.
that. But I think times move on, tastes change, and you try and follow some of that, a little bit of that kind of the trend, I suppose.
Hmm.
And I got into I like a lot of heavy industrial
Hmm.
bass music, mid tempo,
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. And I think that that's 100 to 110,
Right.
112, something like that. So if I'm in a mood to write a track in a certain tempo, then it will generally kind of be in one of those type of formats and one of those type of speeds, I suppose. Um, Interestingly, Below the Terror doesn't actually have anything slower than I think 100, which is strange because Terror 3808 had two or three tracks that were a lot slower. Um,
Well, you're in an
but
underground environment. Like oxygen is limited, so you want to get in and
exactly,
do your thing
exactly,
quickly.
exactly. Um, so yeah, I generally pick a tempo in it and I stick a kick drum to it and I go, okay, what's going to work? What do I want? Then it's either some synth bass um, through Serum
Hmm.
or Massive or any other synth that I have in my
Hmm.
collection. Um, uh, Either that or I may come up with a guitar. Recently the album is kind of come along electronically, and I add the guitars afterwards. But I think I'm going to try and I'm back home. I have my guitars just up on the wall,
Hmm.
so I'm taking guitar off, plugging it
Huh.
in, and going, yeah, okay, I've got it. Yeah, that's the riff that I want to do. So there may be some more kind of riff-based tracks in the next record, but yeah, it usually starts with a kick drum. Usually go to the bass. Um, Maybe some, then I kind of start fleshing it
Hmm.
out for intros and bridges and that kind of thing. Okay, what these pads going to do? What's the sound of that? Do I need some tribal drumming, or what kind of
Whatever
other
the
percussion,
next
or
chapter in the
it,
story is.
exactly what kind of clanks and clangs need to be in there to make an
Hell yeah.
industrial music. And and the last bitter part of the creative process is the vocals, which is
Me too.
my least favorite part. So I tend to write where I want the vocals to be. um, and sometimes I even just write a synth line that's going to be the
Yeah.
vocals, or I write, or I speak them, and then that's I use vocoders quite a
Hmm.
lot. I don't like the sound of my singing voice, I
Uh-huh.
suppose, so I use vocoders, and that often becomes the verse or
Right.
chorus, or layered up in both or whatever. So, um, but I'm also not a massive um, lyricist. I'm not very good at writing words, putting words onto paper, and so I think having the concept of what I want and the ideas, I can take words from that kind of concept and put them together.
Mm.
System and humanity and terror
All
and
that good stuff.
these kind of words that all draw those kind of emotions of being overwhelmed by a machine race. So,
Well,
um,
well, with all this talk of the future and our impending war against the synthetics, we are incidentally on sort of a rogue flight path out here in space. I'm going to be pulling this flying couch back on into the station real quick. But what is next for the mighty Matt Hart?
So tomorrow night is Outlaw Vision. That's my Twitch show.
There you go.
And it is episode 1, season 4. So I've changed things up. There's a new look to the stream. But it'll be the same old shit talk and the same old Matt Hart and the same old music. So, well, not the same old. We always try and get new music out there. But,
I mean,
the same shit that I love.
That is a great point. No one's on the cutting edge like Matt Hart. So
exactly.
Check out the stream if nothing else is that.
Yeah, so that is the first thing. That's Monday. That's tomorrow, or Monday the 13th of June. If you are watching this post 13th of June. And so we also have some remixes in the pipeline coming up. I've sent some out there to the world, and I've had some back from the world. So look probably forward to beginning of July, I suppose, would probably be a good idea of the next remix track to come out, or the first remix from Below the Terra to come out.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we've got a few lined up.
Twitch says more George ?
More George. George is a skeleton that's hung out at home in the bunker, the main bunker here. So yes, there will be a George on cam, on the stream, and all the other things that were used to be here. We'll try and bring those slowly back for season 4. So. But yeah, going forward, I'm just keep writing music. I've got another couple of tracks that I'm kind of
excited.
About 70 to 80% on the way through. So there will be remixes interspersed with new music, and probably Below the Terra Part 2.
Ooh. Oh, it is a part 1.
Sometime. Yeah, it is part 1. So the part 2 will be sometime probably next year, towards the middle end of next year, I would have thought.
And the lovely Sandra says opening for a leather strip at Club Reptile, London, Saturday the 25th of June.
Forever promoting me and remembering what I'm doing without me remembering what I'm doing.
Big up to Sandra.
Yes, supporting Leather Strip on the 25th of June here in London. So
damn, well,
that'll be great.
Maybe Leather Strip will take off someday. We'll have to see where that fresh-faced teen goes. A lot of promise for that kid. But you want to check out Matt Hart. Club Reptile, London, Saturday the 25th. Giant fan of Leather Strip. That's going to be amazing. We will look forward to not only album work, but the intense amount of remixery coming from our guest today. He's got a thing going on tomorrow night we're all going to go check out, and we will await for our ammo refill to fight the machines in the form of Below the Terra Part 2, or whatever you decide to call it. So
that's the title.
Awesome. Space Couch exclusive. I'm calling it right now. It's Below the Terra Part 2. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Brian for Space Couch for Matt Hart, saying, call the spaceships to Davenport, prepare for Divanarchy, and interface with a couch in space. Space Couch. Oh, why does this happen? Space Couch. There we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, good stuff. I'm so happy to learn about any sort of world building that goes on with music. So, great. Thank you for inviting me to a little bit of the front and behind the scenes of the world. If you're still watching, you can get your name here on the thread. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Matt?
No, indeed. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. And, it was really good to meet you at Resistance.
Yeah, that was great. It was, you, me, and Antibody were sort of like our like power base.
Yeah. Little team. Little team we had going.
Team Awesome Guy 2023. We will see you then, man.
Cool.
Bye.